It was a very dangerous holiday weekend all across our country, from Hurricane Beryl beating down on Texas to deadly rip currents all along the Carolina coast. At least 2 people died last week after swimming along our coast. An 18-year-old from Ohio drowned in the Outer Banks on Wednesday. Then a Goldsboro teen went missing after swimming at North Topsail Beach on July 4th. There were also nearly 200 water rescues just in New Hanover County alone. Now, between Wednesday and Saturday, there were 190 calls for help along Wrightsville and Curie Beach as well. 79 of those happening just on Saturday. Carolina Beach saw the most on July 4th with 35 calls. Now, of course, you've heard it before, but it's always good to keep in mind. If you do get caught in a rip current, these are the 3 things to keep in mind. Number 1, you stay calm so that the current doesn't pull you under. Number 2, you do not swim against the current. You try to swim parallel to shore instead. And 3, signal for help. We're going to turn now to the tropics. Tropical Storm Beryl moving inland after coming ashore between Galveston and Corpus Christi, Texas. This is a 2-view live look from Port Arthur, Texas. So far, there is at least 2 reported deaths due to the storm. One of them, a 74-year-old woman who died after a tree fell into her home. Well, Beryl's torrential rain quickly flooded streets in Houston. I want you to check out this video of people that are pushing a car out of the flooded streets. Remember, it is turn around, don't drown. You never want to drive through standing or fast-moving water. Our sister station in Houston got video of this rescue behind me here. Let me move out of the way so you can see a little bit better. A man was stranded on top of his flooded truck. Firefighters sent a life vest and a preserver ring with a ladder to pull him to safety. Once he was brought to land, he was taken away to be checked by paramedics. Well, Beryl is to blame for more than 2 million power outages in that Houston area, and more than 1,700 flights were canceled at airports nationwide as a result of the storm. Janet Shamlin reports from Sugar Land, Texas.
Beryl lashed parts of southeast Texas with heavy rain and gusty winds, hours after making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane.
Please, Houstonians, anyone that can hear my voice, shelter in place. Shelter in place. We're in an emergency.
Emergency crews have been busy, making more than a dozen high water rescues, including a man who drove onto floodwaters on Highway 288 in South Houston. Storm surge rose to about 7 feet in areas just west of Galveston Bay.
It seemed like this was a lot worse than some of the other ones that they said were worse.
Residents in Palacios, southwest of Houston, inspected damage to their homes and counted their blessings.
That tree limb right there could have been through the roof of our house instead of our shed. That one could have gone on our house instead of this way.
While I would say the heaviest part of the storm has passed us by, we're still feeling the impacts here. There is no power here. Everyone I know in the Houston metro area is out of power right now.
Utility companies across the state are now working overtime to reach millions of homes and businesses left in the dark.
Beware of live wires that may have come down as a result of some of the debris that we find in the city, but most importantly, stay safe.
Beryl already battered Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula and several Caribbean islands last week. The storm is expected to impact Oklahoma and Arkansas as it continues to head north. Janet Shamlian, CBS News, Sugar Land, Texas.
All right, this is the list of names for this year's hurricane season. Once a storm is formed in the Atlantic, it gets the next name that is on the list. As you can see on the screen, Alberto, Beryl have already been crossed off. If every name is used on this list, then it will switch to the Greek alphabet. Now, when it comes to forecasting and tracking these storms, our meteorologists have very strict rules and guidelines that they follow. Christian Morgan breaks down those for us.
As we start to watch things in the tropics, and if anything forms that we think may impact us, here's a good rule of thumb, or our rules for tropical forecasting, if you will. 7 to 10 days out, we're really starting to look at the pattern. Is this system going to strengthen, or is it likely to weaken down? Once we get a little closer, 5 to 7 days, we're narrowing down the path. Where is this system most likely headed? Who are the folks that are most likely impacted by this storm in about a week, 5 to 7 days away? Once we start to get to that 3 to 5 day window, we're starting to really nail down the path of that storm, where it's headed, who's most likely to feel strong impacts from this, and that's where we start to see preparations being put in place as that storm gets a little closer. 1 to 3 days out, we really nail down, try to pinpoint where the storm could make landfall. what kind of rain we're going to get, kind of wind we're going to get, or even a storm impact that we could possibly see where we live. All good things to keep in mind, but just know the News 2 weather team is always watching out for you and will always have you prepared.
Well, storms certainly can be scary, especially for kids. It turns out the best way to get your kids through a storm is to describe it in a way that they're going to understand. Back in May, we spoke to clinical psychologist Blanca Cobb about prepping your kids for storms.
This is where you read books about storms. Maybe there's a children's book out there that talks about storm characters in a fun way. Have them draw pictures of what a storm might look like, what it might sound like. Maybe find a place in your home where you get the blankets and you build a fort and you put the books on top of the blankets. That's what I used to do when I was a kid. This can be like their pretend or their safe haven. I'm giving you these ideas to say that you want to normalize storms because storms are a part of life. They can sound very scary, but not every storm means automatic danger.
All right, so let's take a look at this. A lightning strikes a home in Alamance County last week, setting the roof on fire. No one was hurt, but it did cause extensive damage to the home. Is it covered by homeowners insurance? Well, what about the other piece of video where you're seeing about a home catching fire in Winston-Salem after those folks did not properly dispose of fireworks? Again, no one was hurt, but the question is it covered? Well, the answer to both is yes.
Sudden and accidental is what insurance policies pay for. Long, undiscovered wear and tear maintenance issues are specifically excluded as well, and I know that creates great frustration for consumers from time to time, but it's sudden and accidental, and so if something had time to grow mold, it wasn't sudden, and so that creates a frustration for us.
You can download the WFMY News 2 app. There you can get weather alerts sent straight to your phone so you are prepared for whatever is coming your way. And you can find all this information on our website, WFMYnews2.com.